everyone, Shanna here, welcoming you to another episode of Worthy Asian, a safe space to talk about generational trauma, Asian parenting styles, and finding our way to healing and knowing our worth. This week we're talking about when celebratory parental days like Mother's Day or Father's Day are hard days. This episode is for anyone who has had a tough or absent relationship with one or more of their parents or caregivers and struggle when the celebratory day comes up and you are bombarded with pictures, signs, ads, music, gifts, emails, people, everything. All lovey-dovey and all about cherishing their parents everywhere you go, and you just want to crawl into a dark hole until the day is over. That can't just be me, right? As a child, I remember I started out excited and happy, just like everyone else. I made crafts at school, I wrote I love you in my scribbly writing and doodled hearts everywhere. I go bounding home, super proud to give these to my parents, and I'm barely met with a smile. Maybe a, oh, thanks. And it's tossed on the table after a short glance, and everyone just goes on about their day. And as you grow up and situations change, you put thought, time, energy, and money into purchasing or making a gift, and the results remain the same. Year after year, you haven't made them happy. They didn't like it. Something is wrong with it. Even when you thought it was the best idea ever, like this time, this is the one, it still never seems good enough. You get like a nod, it gets tucked away, never to be seen again, let alone used or appreciated. And I know, gift giving is not about getting accolades or kudos, but like, come on. You just want to know they like it, that they see and appreciate your effort, your idea, your thoughts. You don't want it to feel like a waste, like your gift or your love means nothing. I started to give up on being thoughtful and just ask them what I wanted. Sometimes I'd get a general idea like a purse, but no specifics on color, style, etc. And so, of course, I always chose wrong. I don't like this color. I don't like this strap. It's too heavy. So then I started to ask for specifics. And even then, even if I got the exact thing they asked for, there was always something about it that, again, made it not usable, made it not right. So they don't acknowledge it. They don't use it. I gave up. I started to give cash or gift cards, gift certificates to a massage, something like that. And of course, Asians love cash, but there is no joy in giving cash. It's like a transaction. And then there's the stress of knowing how much is enough. What amount determines that it is a good gift? What amount determines if I'm being a good daughter? And then when cash doesn't even get you a reaction, then what is the point? The event really does then become more about money and how much you need to spend to prove your love, and it had no real meaning anymore. So I just stopped. Any event that would warrant a gift, I would just take them out. A win-win situation. You can have a nice dinner, eat good food. I actually get to even partake in enjoying it. I'm still spending money on them. I don't have to clean up. And good food makes people happy. And a dinner event, lasts like an hour or two or more versus just handing over some cash in an envelope. That's like a 5-second interaction. And at dinner, when everyone's happy and eating, if you're really lucky, you might even have a conversation about something other than work or the weather. And it's not just about not getting a reaction from gifts, but it's also with simple things like cards. I used to search for lovey-dovey cards, and I used to write paragraphs as to what I loved and appreciated about them. And just over time, that deteriorated too. Time and experience broke me down. I began to realize that I'm never going to experience what you see in the movies. And the cards and the gifts, that's the superficial stuff I'm talking about. These simple things can break us down. And I'm not even talking about the trauma, the years of emotional neglect and feeling unloved and unworthy that breaks us down into not having a relationship with our parents, that make us not have loving and dear thoughts towards our parents. And now I search for the most generic card and write like one sentence. You get the same reaction, so why bother doing anything more? And this part is hard, because you're still reading the lovey-dovey ones when you're searching for the generic ones. You still see how many others have a different relationship with their parents, the kind you wished you had. And it sucks. It feels shitty trying to find a plain card that doesn't say too little but doesn't say too much. It feels shitty bringing a pen to a card and having nothing to write inside besides, "Hope you have a good Mother's or Father's Day." It feels shitty to go through these motions and feel so empty on a day that is supposed to be filled with love. It feels shitty to be reminded of this everywhere you look. It feels isolating and lonely. Like something is wrong with you, because why don't you have a loving relationship with your parents when it looks like everyone else does? And of course, everyone has their own issues. No parent-child relationship is perfect, but at the very least, there are relationships out there. These loving bonds exist. There is acknowledgement of something as simple as appreciating loving words on a card. It just doesn't exist for you. So you block all that noise out. You just go through the motions. Like I said, you do what you need to do. You buy the generic card. You take them out to dinner. You just ignore all the feelings you shoved down into that dark hole for this day and the days leading up to it. And then tomorrow, it's just another day, and you can carry on. Done. Don't have to worry about it for another year. And you hope, over time, it gets easier, that you'll dread it less. I really don't think it's gotten easier for me. I've just gotten really good at ignoring how I feel. I know this because I know hidden somewhere is fear. Fear that if I was really present during this holiday, that if I listened to what my heart and body were telling me, it would be a really awful, emotional day. And crying and feelings, these are things I don't want to feel. It doesn't feel good. And I'm scared to feel them because I know once I start to feel them, I won't be able to stop. But I'm coming to realize that I need to start feeling these feelings. There's only so much ignoring I can do. Ignoring it doesn't mean it goes away. The only way these feelings get better, feel less hard to manage, is to actually go through them. Otherwise, we just continue to be scared. We continue amping it up instead of seeing it for what it really is, and that it's not that scary. I need to let go of this idea of what a parent relationship should look like. I need to accept that it's not what I have, and I likely never will, with my own parents. You may think that you have let this go already, but you really haven't. If this holiday still hurts you, if you're still scared of these feelings. When you go through the process of actually letting it go, yes, you will feel pain. You will grieve. It will suck. But with this grief, you will find freedom and release. You need to grieve the parent relationship you always wanted. So how are you supposed to do that? How are you supposed to feel these feelings and process them? The process will be similar to the quote-unquote traditional stages of grief for processing death of a loved one. Because even if your parents are still alive, you are grieving the death of that ideal parent. The parent you dreamed of, longed for, needed. And maybe somewhere in you, your inner child is still holding out some little hope that this parent is somewhere within your parent and that you'll tap into it one day. But the reality is that's probably not going to happen, and you need to let it go. Here's a quick recap of the stages of grief and a reminder that they are not linear. They don't go in order and you can go back and forth. It'll all look different for everyone. So 1, denial. You may feel numb or disconnected. It's hard to accept the reality of your situation. 2, anger. You begin to feel anger or frustration about the loss. This may involve blaming others, feeling angry at yourself, or feeling angry at the world. 3, bargaining. In this stage, you may try to negotiate with a higher power or within yourself in an attempt to postpone this feeling of loss. This may involve beliefs like, oh, if I just do XYZ, then things will be different. 4, depression. As you begin to accept the reality of the loss, you may experience feelings of sadness, loneliness, and despair. This may involve withdrawing from others, feeling a lack of motivation or energy, and struggling to find joy or meaning in life. 5, acceptance. This is the final stage of grief, where you come to accept the reality of the loss and begin to move forward. You may create a new sense of purpose or direction in your life and find ways to adapt to your new reality. It's hard to get in the moment to feel these feelings. It's likely these feelings will erupt during inconvenient times because something will trigger you. But you're in the middle of a conversation, or you're in public, or you have a really important meeting coming up. So you just push these feelings away. And by the time you have the appropriate space or moment to potentially tackle these feelings, that moment is gone. You don't feel it anymore, and you can't get back there. So you carry on as per usual. I have a few examples that have helped me get back that moment, get me back into that space that allows me to feel the depth of my feelings and pain, where it feels natural and genuine to cry or shout or be mad. So I'll share them with you, and I hope that some of them will be helpful. My first one is watching a relatable movie or listening to relatable music that will bring up these emotions for you. I haven't been able to find a particular song that really does it for me, but I have a movie. For my situation, I needed something that understood Asian culture, or this culture where you honor your elders above yourself. And it needed to depict troubled relationships with parents and children. And so for me, the best one right now is Everything Everywhere All at Once. Disney's Turning Red is pretty good too, but not quite dark enough to get me to where I need to feel these feelings truly and wholeheartedly. I've heard Encanto has elements of these themes as well, but I haven't seen it. I'm sure if you Google search for movies or songs with generational trauma or narcissistic parents or whatever theme you need to make it relatable to you, I'm sure you'll find one or more. It's just trickier because you need to spend that time to get into that headspace, to watch or listen to these things that you probably haven't seen before, to really determine if it'll work for you. But invest that time. It'll be worth it because when you find that movie or that song or whatever that you know will get you to that place you need to feel raw and real, then that's your key to this emotional place to process your feelings and your grief. Now that I think of it, there is a song that really does bring my emotions up, but I have to pair it with a movie scene. And that movie is Dumbo, the original cartoon Disney version where you see Dumbo's mom locked in a cage and she sticks her trunk out of the bars to rock Dumbo. And Dumbo is crying and the song is Baby Mine. And ever since I was a child, I knew I didn't like that scene. I don't handle it well. I don't watch it if I can close my eyes or avoid it. And so yeah, realizing what movie scenes, what things make you feel uncomfortable, make you want to turn away or avoid it, these are things that maybe you need to explore. Maybe it gets you out of that denial phase so that you can actually process, why are you feeling this way? What's going on here? When you find this movie or this song or whatever, really pay attention to your body. What is it feeling and where? Is it tightness, burning? Do you need to press on that area or rub that area? Do you need to move around, fidget? Realizing where and how you feel it in your body can really help you notice when and how you're being triggered for the future. Because maybe you're not realizing mentally that you're being triggered, but your body is saying like, hey, like I'm feeling something here. And that can be your aha moment. Learning how to comfort your physical body during this time is so important. Because again, we understand the physical world much more than we understand our emotional or psychological world. And feeling safe in your body means you can feel safe to feel your feelings too. Another thing that really helped me process my feelings was writing a letter. So you can write this letter to yourself, your inner child, acknowledging how you didn't get what you needed from your parents, but that you are working on giving it to yourself now. You are the adult now, and you are going to take care of yourself the way you needed. Or you write a letter to your parents, talking about how they've hurt you. Tell them what you needed that you didn't get. Tell them how you feel about them. I would say this is the one activity that really helped me get through most of the stages of grief. Because in writing these letters, I felt sadness, anger, and ultimately came to a place of acceptance. These letters are mainly for yourself, to acknowledge yourself, to say the things out loud that you never could. And realize that there'll be many versions of this letter as you process your grief and your feelings. I've written 4 letters to my parents. My first one was like verbal diarrhea. You have no idea what you're saying or what the point is. You're still trying to be formal and politically correct. My second was mad, and it was my F you letter. And I said very mean and hateful things to express my rage and anguish and get it out of my system. All the things I can never say to their face. I screamed and I wept writing this letter. My third one attempted to express what I needed moving forward in order to continue a relationship with them. But it was still very blamey and making them the bad guy. My fourth one came from a more healed inner child, a more calm and emotionally mature adult. where I was able to acknowledge where they were coming from, provide some compassion and understanding, while also being clear that they hurt me despite their best efforts, and how it has continued to affect me and my life in adulthood. I was able to acknowledge my own shortcomings and emphasize the goal of the letter was for communication and repair for our future, and not to dwell on the past. And this fourth letter, I actually sent this one. That's a very personal choice, whether to send your letters to your parents or not. And you must do it going in knowing that you're very likely not going to get a response. Or you probably won't get the ideal response that you're dreaming or hoping of. Low expectations. Majority of people don't send it. Some people burn their letters for symbolization. You writing the letter is a release. Getting the feelings out and finally being able to say all the things you've always needed to say, without the need for anything in return. I sent this letter as my kind of last resort, last reach out to my parents to try and find a way to move forward and actually have a relationship with them. It was me knowing I was doing my best, where I had done a lot of inner work, did a lot of healing, and I'm writing a letter out of a place of compassion and not of anger, trying to communicate clearly to my parents about what I needed and what my boundaries were and what my hopes were for the future. My parents have had this letter for over 3-4 weeks now. They've acknowledged that they've gotten it, but they haven't read it. And you know what? I don't think they ever will, and that's okay. Because like I said, the letter is for you. All the work I did to get to that final letter is really what I did this letter for, was to process all of that junk, to get to my place of acceptance. This third one is affirmations. And this one on its own doesn't work in getting me to an emotional state, but it might for you. This one helped me though in comforting myself after I felt my feelings from writing my letters or watching my movie. Doing these affirmations helped me to calm down. I would look at myself in the mirror, maybe I would hug myself or rock myself and say things out loud like, I am worthy of love and respect. I deserved better. I am proud of myself and my healing. I can give myself what I needed that my parents couldn't. I can love me better. And sometimes I would even use the Baby Mine song that I talked about to soothe me. I would either play it in the background while I rocked, or I would sing the song to myself to feel the love and nurturing I was giving to myself, to my inner child. And that was very healing. So number 4 is, when you're in that phase of anger, let it happen. Be mad. Allow yourself to be justifiably outraged about all the crappy things that you've had to go through. And find a healthy way to let it out. Get it out of your system. Because I had so much negative energy just pent up in me, and I needed a release. I spent a lot of time being mad. At first, I tried things like yoga and meditation, but these didn't give me the release I needed. But it very well might work for you. I just needed something a little bit more because I just had so much negative energy. My husband actually booked me a smash room experience where you get in safety gear and wield a sledgehammer and smash things to bits in a safe room. I was so excited. But alas, my bookings got canceled because the smash room needed repair, and I never got around to rebooking it. And I'm no longer in a place where I feel like that would be helpful to me. But I think if you're just starting out and you're feeling that peak of anger, maybe that is a good option for you. What actually got me through my anger was going to the gym. I joined a workout class that incorporated a punching bag into their strength and cardio work, and so I got to move around a lot. And it's hard to stay mad after punching and kicking a bag for 40 minutes. And when you're punching and kicking a bag, you really get to sense this feeling of getting even or expressing physically all that anger that you feel. And at the same time, I got fitter and stronger. So maybe finding a workout class, a martial arts class, self-defense, something like that, where you can release this energy in a more healthy way. I've been taking a trauma course, and they actually talk about dance classes a lot, because learning new moves for your body and sometimes working with a partner, it rewires your brain and really helps you heal trauma and release energy in that healthy way. This last one is controversial, and I even myself haven't quite tackled it yet. It comes up a lot, so I couldn't ignore it. I call it the F word. Can you guess what it is? Forgiveness. There is a lot of mixed reviews in the trauma community about whether or not forgiveness is needed in order to fully heal from trauma, and it definitely warrants an episode on its own. So we'll just put a pin in that F word for now. It's something to think about at a future date after you have processed all your feelings, after you're at a place of acceptance, after you have grieved the loss of your ideal parent. Now, this isn't going to be the case for everyone, but for me, what makes Mother's Day a bit easier now is that I'm a mother. And now I get the chance to appreciate this day and the love I receive from my husband and daughter. And I can just focus on them and ignore everything else. I can focus on the notion that I didn't have a loving relationship that warrants this holiday with my own parents, but I have a loving husband and daughter that does warrant this holiday, that can make this holiday feel different. And I have the power to have a loving mother-daughter relationship so that this day is special for her and I. Mother's Day is a week away. Father's Day is a month away. And if it's hard for you, I just want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry it's hard. I feel for you. I'm with you. You deserved better. You will get through this day. And I really hope you try some of these things to process these feelings so that next year it hopefully won't feel as bad. You are not alone, and I'm sending you love and hugs. As always, thank you for sharing your time with me. I would love to connect with you on Instagram at worthyasianpodcast to hear any questions, ideas, or stories you have. And if you'd like a space to be able to share, receive, or give support, please join and help build our community in the Worthy Asian Facebook group. If you found this podcast helpful, please subscribe, share, or leave a review so more people can find us. I'll be back in 2 Mondays. So until then, take care, talk soon, and much love from a fellow Worthy Asian.